Hey guys, it's Kells and I'm back with another video. Ooh, I hope that's not too shadowy. Ooh. Workplace, how I bring that feminine energy to the workplace and then how to maintain it. And so I'm going to talk about that tonight. But the first thing I wanted to do was give you a little bit of a backstory about how travel kind of first awakened me to the need for femininity in the workplace and how I first experienced it and how I first realized how important it was to me. So it was back in London, of course. You guys know I lived there for almost 2 years. And after I finished studying, I was working at a particular place in Ascot, out not near that racing, the fancy racing, horse racing place. And I was on a team of about five, and they were all guys, and I was the only girl on the team. And so in the US, that would have kind of been a really awkward position to be in. But I found that in the UK, it was very, very easy to be on the team. I found that the guys were very warm, very inclusive. They would never go out to lunch without me. They would always make sure to ask me, Kels, what are you doing for lunch? Come with us for lunch. Come with us to the pub. They literally would go to the pub for lunch and invite me. Out after work, they would literally go out for drinks, invite me. During the day, they would make me tea. Men. And they would do all of these little things that made the office experience so warm and so nurturing to the point where I was even going around and making everyone tea. Now, in the workplace in the US, that would be unheard of, right? A woman going around and asking all the guys in the office, what do what do you want for tea? I'm making tea. How many, you want 2 drops of sugar, 1 drop of sugar? That would have been unheard of in the US because it would have been this very sexist, misogynistic, it would have just been taken the complete wrong way. But I found that in the UK, in the particular office that I was in, and I'm not going to say that it's widespread, but I'm going to say in the particular office that I was in, the men were in such a warm place with the atmosphere that it allowed me to be softer. It allowed them making me tea and bringing me biscuits and wanting to go out to lunch with them allowed me to say, oh, I can make tea too, and and just be more comfortable in a more nurturing space at work. So that was the first time that I kind of noticed working in being brought into the space. I just thought, oh my God, working in the UK is just so much more chill outside of work. I'm breaking up. All right, let me see. I don't know what to do. Um, I don't know. Should I start this over? No, I'll just keep going. Hopefully I'm not breaking up. Um, yeah. It was the first time that I really, really felt comfortable in the workplace. And it wasn't until after I came back from the UK that I started to compare and contrast or how I behaved in the workplace in the UK versus in the US. And what I realized it was that I was in a safer place in the UK in that particular office to be more what we would call emotionally intelligent, to be more caring and warm and things like that. And all of those things that I kind of just described are more feminine attributes. And when I say feminine, I don't mean female. I'm talking about the energy or the mood that is brought. More masculine is more driving, more hard hitting, more competitive, more nurturing, more warm. And so, energetically, you guys can look this up and look at some other videos that I did when I'm talking about feminine and masculine energy. But I realized that in my entire career in the U.S., I had always performed in a very masculine way. So that would mean that I would come in, I would know, I would speak up at every meeting, I would sit at the table, I would always ask for more work, I would come in early, I would stay late. All of these things that are considered a hard worker, they're actually things that put you in a very masculine space. And if you're not aware of what you're doing as a woman, you can actually become very drained and very resentful of your workplace and attribute it to you not being a good performer, when in actuality you are acting from a place that is not balanced within of, okay, there are places that you can go, there are decisions that you can make in terms of your workplace that put you in a more feminine space. Now this doesn't mean, oh, I have to be a nurse or a teacher or anything, basic like that. And I don't mean the career is basic, but I mean the mindset of femininity. I don't mean like you have to be in typically female roles, but it does mean that you can deliver in a way that's more mindful of the energy that you're bringing. So, for instance, if you're interviewing for jobs and in your past what got you to the successful place that you are in, successful, has been, this more cutthroat, demanding, I'm going to behave like the guy's personality, and you got energy that you're bringing to the space, maybe try to evaluate, the next role that you're going to interview for, see what they're looking for. Of I find that a lot of jobs, they are looking to behave like men. And that's what patriarchy is, right? They're not necessarily looking for women that can deliver the same amount of work or deliver in the same way, but do it in a more team oriented or introspective, thoughtful way. They are looking for women that are like just as competitive, just as cutthroat, individualistic, interrupting you, talk over you kind of behavior, because that's what's seen as successful. But I'm saying to you that be aware that that's not all that success is wrapped in. And so some of the ways that coming to that awareness, some of the ways that I've been able to kind of bring more feminine energy into my workspace and be more mindful of the way I'm delivering, the way that I'm speaking, how I'm listening, and things like that, is to those are some of the things that I have been doing, is just being more deliberate and intentional about how I behave in the workplace, and then paying attention to how I'm treated, paying attention to how I'm received, paying attention to the accolades that I receive, or the reviews that I receive, or the bonuses or anything like that, and seeing if there's a true difference if I shift my behavior and my awareness to a more feminine space, seeing how that actually plays out in the workplace. What does that look like? How do I affect the team? So some of the things that I notice when I'm a bit more feminine is that, one, the energy of the team is different. You have a very, very impact, able to be brave enough to be more feminine on a team. And it doesn't matter the makeup of the team, but it just means, maybe, when you deliver in a meeting, you deliver in a more, a softer way. You don't have to behave like the men. Maybe it means, when they're, I'm trying to think, like when there's I noticed that one of my bosses now, she always, during the holidays, she wants to decorate, for people's birthdays, she'll bring cakes. And it's not seen as something like, oh, defaulting to the female role. She does it with the intention of just being kind, and it makes everyone so much more happy in the office, to the point where the men start to do the same thing. Just the other day, a gentleman brought in for Chinese New Year's. He ended up bringing in cookies and donuts and coffee for everyone, because that precedent was set that this is kind of a more nurturing space. We actually care about who you are, or things like that. And so it's all about kind of that nurturing energy that you're bringing, and how that allows everyone else to be in a more nurturing space as well. It definitely shifts the team dynamics. Some of the things that I do when I'm trying to protect my femininity in the workplace is, I'm very mindful. So, some of this stuff will sound like, I know that there's going to be some criticism of some of the mindset and some of the behaviors, but I'm going to share them with you anyway. But some of the things is like, one, I always dress up for work. I always I always take the time to care for myself, a lot of self care, and put myself together and present myself in a way that is representative of genuinely who I am in and outside of work. So I know some people, or some women and men, do this too, where they're very kind of, in their personal presentation when they go to work, because they're thinking, oh, I'm going to work, it doesn't matter, and but that intention, that lack of self-care, reflects in your behavior, and it reflects in how people treat you. So I find that, but I notice the difference in the treatment of, a woman or even a guy who takes care of himself when he's coming to work, versus a guy who doesn't, or a woman who doesn't. So what I do to protect and kind of maintain my femininity and make sure to, is that I will dress nicely. I will take care and take the time to do my makeup, do my hair, pick my clothes, iron my clothes, throw out old tattered clothing and not think that I have to look like struggle work, for them to see from them to believe that I think that the role is valuable, right? And so I bring my best self to work visually. Um, I personally always try to smell nice. I always wear like a nice cologne, not an overpowering one, but just a nice cologne, to announce your presence. I say good morning when I see people in the elevator, or I talk to the building security and I smile with them, or the building parking attendants. I'm like, hey, how's it going? How's your day going? I actually look people in their eyes. I actually genuinely care to talk to people, and make genuine connections with them. And these are elements of femininity and emotional intelligence and care and nurturing that people appreciate and respect. And they will do extra things for you in the workplace. People will roll out the red carpet for you when you give them a softness about you. And I'm not going to say that it doesn't take bravery. It doesn't take, bravery to bring this femininity to the workplace. It does. It takes self-confidence, it takes bravery to let down your guard and not always, be so paranoid about, what's happening around you and who's gossiping where. So that's one of the things I take care in what I do, and how I care for myself when I'm kind of mentally and physically preparing to go to work. The music that I listen to in the mornings is very particular. It's very high vibrational music that puts me in a higher mood, or emotional state, or resonance, or a vibrational kind of resonance. So I listen to specific podcasts, or I listen to specific music. I don't listen. Now, at one time, I used to listen to the amped up music, where I would do like like the rappers or stuff, like to get like kind of geek to go to work. But right now, I listen to things that are a little bit more mellow, things that are just make me feel good and relaxed in general, just to like do the commute to work, so I don't go into work all wound up by the how difficult the commute was. So that's another way that I kind of stay in a kind of softer, safer feeling space, to be able to bring that into the workplace, and then to see the reactions of people around me, of how they warm up to you in a different type of way. They help you with different things. So when I'm at work, I take breaks. I don't just run myself ragged, running around reacting to everybody's beck and call. You know what I mean? I'm calm but deliberate in what I'm doing and my intention. I look people in their eyes again. I talk to them. I let them know what I can and can't do. I'm not concerned that, oh my God, I need to be competing with everybody that's around me. I deliver, and I deliver well, but I do it in a calm way, so that everyone around me feels that calmness. And not only everyone around me feels that calmness, but I remain calm. So it's not letting kind of external conditions govern your internal state. So always just being like very calm. I can deal with this. I can handle this. And if you cannot, not being afraid to be vocal, to say, okay, when do you need this by? All right, I can get it to you by close of business. Is that okay? Or I can get it to you by noon tomorrow. Is that okay? And really managing my pressure that way, as opposed to thinking that every request that comes in, I have to run around like a chicken with my head cut off to get done. That doesn't serve kind of the femininity that you're trying to bring. So maybe consider being able to vocalize your need for time to get the job done and get it done well, and not being afraid to do so. For lunch, sometimes I'll ask folks to go with me, or I'll ask other people, hey, you want to go to lunch? Or sometimes I will just go by myself to kind of get back my centeredness, and then come back in the second half of the day to a more peaceful state. So depending on my mood, if I'm feeling like being a team player, I might be like, hey, let's go to lunch, let's go grab coffee. Or if I need to just recenter myself, I'll sit in my car by myself and listen to some good music, or read a couple pages of a book that I'm loving, or go in the bathroom and redo my makeup, reapply, touch up my makeup, and just comb my hair, or something that makes me feel better and more calmer. And so people notice that too, and they treat you nicer. When I'm in meetings, I deliver very clearly with, what I'm saying, and I always sit at the table. I don't being feminine doesn't mean shrinking yourself, right? It means masculinity. There's a power in being a driver and a decider and a lead and a go-getter and a give me more work and staying late and going early. Yeah, there's absolutely power in that. We know that. But there's also power in knowing how to share, how to delegate. There's also power in knowing how to give people their due and letting other people shine. There's power in, just being, taking vacations and letting people know I'm taking a mental health day. I'm taking a mental health day. I am going to, go chill out for a little bit, for a day. I'm taking my PTO and not feeling guilty about it. You know what I mean? To make yourself whole again. And these things are kind of more feminine aspects that you can, and feminine mindset that you can bring to the workplace. Um, when I am the music, I just a question come through. The music that I listen to is I'll go on YouTube and I'll put in I'll put in like high vibrational, high vibrational 638 hertz or 528 hertz, feminine healing music, or I'll put in meditation music, or I'll put in even stuff like today I was listening to Barris Hammond. He has this album. It's like more like a groove, smooth groove, like maybe like a Sade or a Solange or a Erica Badu kind of sound. And so instead of listening to the hype, like kind of like City Girls, turn up kind of Cardi B stuff, which kind of, is not feminine at all. Um, I would listen to something that's a little bit more smoother, more evenly keeled, and still mood elevating. Sometimes I'll listen to podcasts that are, law of attraction podcasts and things about how to keep yourself and make yourself happy and how you do that, what kind of techniques you can use to do that and to attract what you want into your life. So I'll listen to that while I'm at work. And just recognizing that, I have complete control over the mood that I am in and being intentional about staying in a soft, receptive, warm, nurturing space, still while delivering intelligently, confidently, and being a team player. So it's just about being deliberate about the personality and the energy and the mood that you bring to the workplace, and understanding that regardless of what's happening externally, you can still make the decision to react in a way that best serves you, your personality, best serves your highest and greatest good, best serves your femininity, best serves your sanity, and best serves your team and the work that you're doing. So I'll listen to that music, and then I'll take breaks during the day. The food that I eat for lunch. So lately I've been very mindful about the food that I'm eating for lunch. So instead of eating very heavy sandwich and chips and fries and soda and things like that, I'll try to stay with the salads and the soups, and do light. And I've actually been fasting in the morning time, so not doing breakfast, just doing tea till about 12:30 or 1 in the morning, tea or water in the morning, and then doing a light lunch in the middle of the day. And then that really keeps me light, keeps my energy light. And this is all about, femininity in the workplace. And you will see how people react to you differently. You will see that you're even more comfortable to, work in team environments and ask your teammates for help and be able to receive help from people. Being receptive and putting down resistance to receiving is an aspect of femininity, is like being able to receive compliments well, being able to receive help well, being able to receive feedback well. All of these things are the receptive mode of kind of divine femininity. And so these things, really have let people warm up to you in the workplace. So it's important to kind of think of these things as well. So careful of the food that I'm eating as well. And then in the evening times, I try not to wear myself down. So if another thing that you can do is you can just, before you make any changes, if you're considering this and saying, I'm drained at work, I don't feel like I can be myself at work, I'm not happy at work, evaluate if you can shift some of your behaviors to be slightly more feminine, in a safe way. One start by doing the other women in the office and even men, because sometimes you will find that there's a guy in the office that is very warm and you feel very comfortable with, and you can ask him questions, or if you need a little help with something, he can help. And it's because he has an even balance of probably his masculine to his feminine energy in the office. And so I'm not saying that femininity is only for women, it can be for men as well. So if you find, you can observe if men behave this way, and you can observe how they bring a more nurturing aspect to their personality at work, and then you can try to start to emulate them. And so maybe observe a little bit, and then you will also, once you start to observe the femininity and the softer side of bringing a truer version of yourself to work, you'll also notice the people that operate really masculine and how off-putting it can be. And so then you'll be able to, okay, observe the two dynamics, and then, create a space for yourself that is a good mixture of the two. So it's a bit about just the awareness of of your behaviors, and why you're selecting, and why you're doing what you're doing, and why you're reacting the way that you're reacting. So observing other people is really, really interesting as well, especially in meetings. When you go into meetings, how people deliver, how people speak, how they interrupt one another, what jokes they make, where they sit in the room, their body language in the room. All of these things, if you start to observe, you'll be able to pick up who is leaning more masculine, who is leaning more feminine, and who has an even keel in the middle. And what you're striving for is an even keel in the middle, right? So okay, so then in the office, and then learning to receive, and so then on the way home, I do the same thing. You're in traffic. I'm very deliberate about the music that I listen to, how I'm unwinding from the day, what podcasts I listen to, how much fresh air I get. In the morning times, I pay keen attention to the sun as well. So when I'm going in, I'm like, oh, if the sun is out, I am, definitely paying attention to it. I'm absorbing as much sun as possible. I'm like, okay, this, I'm looking at the beauty of things. All of these things are part of divine feminine that you can bring your attention to, that will be able to amplify it in your life if you're wanting to be a little bit more comfortable and more of yourself in the workplace. So observing beauty. This morning when I woke up, the birds were singing. Yesterday we had a huge snowstorm, and we had a lot of snow on the ground. And then this morning I woke up and the birds were singing, and I hadn't heard the birds sing because it's been winter. And so immediately I thought, oh my God, it's spring. You know what I mean? So just bringing your awareness to nature as well is a good way to step more into your femininity. And as you do these things, you're able to carry them with you, not just when you're observing it right then in the morning time, or right then at lunch or whenever, but you can bring that same um, awareness with you at work. So for instance, today I woke up this morning and the birds were singing, and I was just like, oh my God, the birds are singing. So I took a little meditative moment to listen to them. There was two birds, it sounded like, and I was listening to them, and I listened to them for like 5 minutes. So before I jumped out of bed and was like, worried, oh my God, into this worry space, this, oh my God, I have to do, prove my worthiness. I'm not worthy if I'm not struggling and strife and running up and down. That's, one of the things about this is that you have to understand that you're worthy. You don't have to struggle, and strife does not prove worthiness, right? So there is a mindset that you do have to come to, and a bravery, being brave, that you do have to come to be able to get into this mindset as well. So in the morning times, your morning routine is I wake up and then I take a few minutes just to relax my mind and thank God for the day. You know, I might light an incense, and say thank God for the day, and cool, even myself out, instead of running right to my phone on Instagram or running right to my computer. And I'm not gonna say that I don't do that. I absolutely, some days I do. Some days I'm like, oh my God, I have to get that out. I have to jump on my phone. But most days I'm very deliberate how I move from my sleep state into my waking state, and that kind of transition, how easy and peaceful and nurtured I want to be in that space of transition from sleep to wake activity and going to work. So I woke up this morning, and then I was hearing the birds singing. So I was laying with my eyes closed, just listening to the birds and thinking And it dawned on me that, oh, birds singing after a snowstorm means that spring is coming. These are very feminine observations, feminine energy, not female, as I said before, but feminine, right? Being a piousness for a respect for nature, and understanding, intuitively what's happening around you. So luckily I don't live in a place where all you hear are sirens. I used to live in New York for a bit sometimes, even London. When you wake up, all you hear are sirens, and it's just urgency as soon as you wake up, and you don't get to transition gently. You know what I mean? But right now I live in a place that is cool. So I'm saying this to you guys so that you can make the observations and the appropriate shifts, in your surroundings as well. If you're wanting to move into, if you're wanting to bring more femininity into your day-to-day routine as you go to work. So the birds were singing, and I said, okay, oh shoot, that means spring is, oh, that must, birds singing after winter means spring. So listening to the birds singing, then I woke up, and then I might light an incense. I might do some sun salutations, which are yoga movements, just to get my body going. I drink a glass of lemon water. It's because the first thing I want to do is honor my body and nurture myself with water. And thank my body for working through the night. It's a lot about being intentional about your behaviors and what you're doing, and the gratitude that you bring into everything as well. It's a feminine shift. And then there's other things that I do in the morning just to prepare myself, but I don't just jump on my computer and jump on my phone and start running into the urgency of trying to prove, something. So once I do my transition, then I will jump on my laptop if I'm working from home that day, or then I will start to, prepare to get out of the door and go to work. And then I will go and listen to the right music, get into the office, speak to who I need to speak to. And I find that when I do my routine of self-care in the morning times, then I am much more refreshed and in a better mood to get into the office and to maintain a disposition of softness. And so if I don't do my morning care routine and and care for myself in the way that I kind of just mentioned, it's more difficult to go into the office in a calm, cool way, as opposed to just riled up and kind of angry to be there because you didn't feed yourself first. You didn't put your mask on first. You know how they say in an airplane, if the masks fall, you don't just start doing somebody else's mask. You put your mask on first. You do your self-care first. That's what I mean by that. That's the metaphor for that. So you go throughout the day, as I mentioned earlier in the live, and then when you're coming home in the evening, I'm listening to particular music. I have my windows down because I want to get fresh air. Fresh air in the middle of the day is also very important. So it doesn't matter how cold it is for where I am. I always try to go out and at least take one walk around the block or go walk and get my lunch, because I want to get my blood going and I want to get more fresh air, connect with nature again throughout the day. And that keeps me in a feminine or a more evenly keeled energetically. So then you're coming home now, and I'm getting more fresh air, and I'm preparing to wind down from the day. So, oh, I'm getting messages. I'm preparing to wind down for the day. So I'm listening to my music. I'm listening to music that makes me happy. I'm not listening to honestly, I'm not listening to any hip hop. I'm not listening to the radio. I don't watch the news. None of this media that is will put you in a state of worry. I don't watch any of that. I listen very deliberately and intentionally to things that I know will elevate my mood, elevate my mental state, make me feel calmer, make me feel happier, because I'm winding down for the day. Come home, I go through traffic. I do something that doesn't make me get frustrated by traffic. I look at how many Florida license plates I see. I look at how many repeating numbers I see on license plate. I'm listening to music. This is what I do. I'm just chilling out. Or I might take a phone call and, talk to somebody that I haven't spoke to that I really wanted to get, back in touch with. Reconnect with my community on the phone. Very, kind of feminine things to do. Obviously not text, but just call. So then I get home, and so one thing that I changed kind of drastically was sometimes I would get home and then I would start working again, or I would start immediately doing something else. So I would, maybe cook dinner or something like that. But what I realized is that if you have the opportunity, consider shifting your evening routine to immediately taking a shower. And I find that if you immediately kind of relieve yourself of the tension or the energies of other people of the day, when you come into your, as soon as you come into your home, you relax and you forget, you can like totally unwind super easily. And this keeps you in a kind of nurtured, protected self-care space, so that the next day and the next day it's easier to maintain that centered space and not shift too wildly into like masculine, aggressiveness. So a lot of times I'll be like immediately shower and decompress in the shower. I might use essential oils. I might use lavender or eucalyptus or some sort of essential oil that is known to relax you or to open up your eucalyptus opens up your breathing passages. So I might use a diffuser. Again, I might burn some incense, or I might light a candle or something like that that makes the home calm and makes me calm for coming home, and shower. And then I will like eat or cook, or I feel like there's a lot of shadows on my face. I would like, eat or cook. And so instead of going right into the eating or the cooking or the dealing with the children or dealing with the husband, I would have an opportunity to decompress from the day. And so I don't bring any tensions that I might have picked up in the office to my family life or into my home. So I'm deliberate about there's an opportunity to be deliberate about your evening time rituals as well. Like you're relaxing, what you do, your rituals to relax. Um, and so, a lot of this is being mindful of what you're doing, right? So you might not even know I'm using the word ritual, and it's like, wait, what? Ritual? Like, isn't like that, like, something that you're forced to do, like some sort of like, thing at church? No, it's just your behaviors that you choose to do, that you do over and over again, whether you are paying attention to what you're doing or not. So you might have an evening ritual right now that you're not even paying attention to. You might come home, put your shoes by the door, take off your work clothes, go in the kitchen, not even wash your hands, eat something, sit down on your couch, turn on the TV, and watch TV till you drop asleep on the couch with crumbs on your chest, and then peel yourself up, go to bed. That's your evening ritual. Just because you're not, intentional about it doesn't mean it's not your ritual. That's your behavior. That's your habit. So when I say ritual, it's just a habit or something that you do over and over again. But ritual usually has a connotation that you're deliberate about it and you're intentional about it. So that's why I say morning ritual, evening ritual. There's an intention. There's something that I'm doing, in order to attain something. And for me, the attainment is peace, serenity, femininity, alignment, and just being more of myself in the workplace and being able to maintain that throughout the day. So coming in the evening times now, you have your ritual or whatever, and then another thing is sleep. Now I know a lot of people, have a lot of insomnia. They're very wired from the day, from all of the electronics that we use, all the media that we're absorbing with the kind of negativity of it, the food that we're eating that might not be the healthiest, the people that we are around that might not be the healthiest or the safest for us. And so, all of those things, the stress that we're under, all of those things will affect your health, your sleep. But another self-care, as I mentioned before, with the putting your mask on first from the when it drops from the ceiling in the airplane, and caring for yourself first, feeding yourself first. Another self-care ritual is protecting your sleep, honoring your sleep. Your sleep is the only time that you're in a kind of long meditative state where your thoughts are not running amok with you. Hopefully you're not having nightmares and, you know, you know, sleepwalking in your sleep and things like that. But it's a time of day where there's a restorative, there's a restoration of your body and your mind, and you're in a low resistance state. So not many worries and things usually come to you. So it's important for you to protect that time. and see it as a self-care practice. And so, a way to protect your sleep is to, kind of go to bed at the same time. I drink chamomile or chamomile. I guess that's how people say it. Chamomile tea in the evening time, or there's sleepy time tea. I tried not to be, with the phone and staring into the blue lights of the screens. But honestly, that's my. I'm always on computers and social media and things like that. So I'm not the best at that. But definitely drinking the chamomile tea or the chamomile tea is cool. I'll burn a oh gosh, what is it called? The purple candles, lavender. Lavender is that sleep. So I'll burn a candle as well, and have the lavender smell in the air and calming, um, and things like that. And so I'll wear nice pajamas. So not just a tear up t-shirt, some holy socks or things like that. I'll put myself in finer things so that it feels like a little bit of a special experience, and to kind of protect my sleep and honor my sleep, and and honor myself in that time as well, and my partner, whoever, I sleep by myself, but if you have a husband or someone that you spend your evenings with, to make that a serene and a peaceful time as well. And so it's not just femininity and bringing femininity and nurturing to the workplace, but you can also bring it into your home. If you're able to maintain it at work, you'll definitely be able to maintain that same kind of inner peace and serenity at home in the evening times, if you have a couple rituals or a couple things in mind that that you do that bring you, ease you down into the evening. What else? What else do you guys want to know about femininity in the workplace and career wise? Let me see. Um, so I know that there's going to be probably some internal questions about, like, well, is she talking about, is it going to cause sexual harassment issues or things like that? There's still boundaries that you're having. Being feminine doesn't mean being a pushover or being simple or being, not of sound mind. It just means that you don't have to have so many walls and so much barriers up, thinking that you have to protect yourself by being hard, right? And so when I say that it takes a little bit of bravery to understand that you're safe to bring down some of the walls and to actually connect with people, that's where the bravery comes in. And it's a decision that you have to make, right? And so you do have to come to it. So I think the first thing that you can do if you're wanting to bring down some of those walls is care for yourself. Care for yourself, and remind yourself that you're cared for, you're protected, you're loved, there's nothing for you to worry about. And once you get to the place where you're like, yes, I feel that, I see that, I sense that, I'm giving that to myself, that will help you to bring down some of the walls of this kind of hard exterior as well. So there is some bravery involved, and there is a lot of self-care. I spent a lot of time caring for myself the way that I want to be cared for. At work, the dresses I wear, I don't wear pants to work. The last time they told me to wear jeans, I mean, and this is very stereotypical, and this is not. I don't want this to be like, oh well, I only wear pants. It's not really about, excuse me, the having to wear dresses or skirts or things like that. You can wear whatever you want, but personally for me, I try to wear colors because it just makes me feel better. And so a lot of this thing about, bringing more femininity to your workplace is just being closer to actually who you are. So if you like to wear pants and you like to wear black and things like that, and you still feel yourself and light and good about things, then do that. But if you feel that, oh my God, I'm stifled, I feel like I can't be myself, I'm a totally different human being at work, different than who I am, out, and I don't mean like ratchetness, but I just mean in terms of genuinely who you are, then there might be some steps that you can take to ease yourself into being more of yourself at work. And this is, it is powerful. It is powerful, and it is needed. Everything, the mindset is that success equals behaving and acting and like a man. You know what I mean? And it doesn't necessarily equal that. And being overseas taught me that. And that's why I kind of started this live talking about that story of how, oh goodness, talking about the story of how, hold on, let me fix this. Talking about the story of how, the men were just so nurturing to me, and how it was just such a different experience in the office. And when I did the comparison, I realized like, oh, I was able to be more feminine because they were more evenly keeled in their approach. It allowed me to not feel that I had to behave like a man, at every waking moment. You know what I mean? Waking moment. I felt like, oh, I can be softer, and they would not look down on me, or they would not say, they would not make snide remarks or anything like that. They respected that nurturing that you could bring to the office as well, and it made for better team dynamics. So, you can start to introduce these concepts and see how it elevates the mood of your team, the productivity of your team, the more time people want to spend at work because they feel more heard, understood, fulfilled, because of the shift in the mood and the energy and the personalities on the team, because of your bravery in being able to start to introduce that. Or if you're not quite there to start to introduce it, you might just start to bring your awareness to it in other people, and then start to compliment them on it. So if you're not brave enough to, if you're like, dang, I don't want to bring, I don't really want to smile and speak with everyone, or I'm still a little bit scared, I don't really know where to start. What you can start to do is observe the behaviors of others. And then when you see something that you feel like, ooh, that felt good, or that was nice, bring your attention to it and compliment them on it, and let them know that that is valued. So that is a way that you can start to introduce this more divine feminine, nurturing, team oriented, emotional intelligence into the workplace, and have it be honored by everyone, because everyone recognizes its value, but we've just kind of diverged away from it a bit. So there is room to bring it back in. What else? So your clothing, for me, I like to wear colors. I don't wear red lips or anything like that to work so much. Not if I want to, I do, but not all the time. But my makeup is always done. My hair is always done. My nails are always done. I always smell good. I always dress nicely. This is personally my self-care routine, but I find that it is rooted in a feminine way of self-care, and it serves me well. And so when people see me, they're like, how are you so this, or how are you confident at work to do that? It's a decision. It's a decision you have to decide, at least to start to bring your attention to it, if you're not ready to outwardly act on it as yet. Let me see what else I have here. So I kind of no longer, I'm of the mindset that I kind of no longer have to be at work and strife and struggle. And the way that I prove that I'm a type A personality performer is I'm a struggle and look like I'm, dragging a boulder somewhere. I'm not doing all that. When I was young and I first was in the workplace, I was like, I'm gonna do 150%. I'm gonna do all of this. And I think when you're young, it's okay to do that. For a little bit, but you soon realize that, one, you will burn yourself out really, 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 really quickly, and two, it will never be enough in a very masculine workplace. So if you come into the workplace and you think, oh, I'm gonna do 150%, and they're gonna see that I'm a star worker, and then they're gonna promote me, and they're gonna give me more money, and they're gonna this and that, sis, that has not been my experience. What happens is that you work at this 150% level, and then the next year, in order to get promoted, or the next year, in order to, to show that you want to move up, you think you're going to be able to work at 120%? No, you're going to have to work at 160%. So it's kind of this, reverse logic, self-fulfilling prophecy, that the more you work, the more you work. Be more even. And if you started at 150% and you're like, okay, that was unsustainable, let me bring it down to 125, it is always going to look like you are no longer performing, right? So you have to be strategic about where you come in at. And so, it's not always about, running down the biggest project or feeling like, oh, I got to show them that I'm struggling and striving for them to respect me. But it is about delivering, but, you can deliver in a different way. You do not have to deliver in the exact same way that maybe, the alpha males in the office do. You can bring the complementary energy, and if you're in the right team, if you're in the right place, they will see how that complementary energy will propel the team and propel the productivity of the team. Because there is yin adding, that balance. Yin is the feminine, yang is the masculine. You know what I mean? So you definitely, that does create momentum and propel the team forward. But if it's too heavy on one side, there will be momentum, but it will not be as fluid and as smooth and as comfortable as if you have kind of balanced, as much balance as possible. So when I talk about femininity in the workplace and being able to step into feminine energy, this is what I'm talking about. It's creating that more balance in the workplace, and not necessarily skewing completely feminine, but definitely not skewing entirely masculine, which is what we typically do. All right. So my mindset has shifted in that way. I wanted to share with you guys. And being able to affect the entire team with your femininity is very interesting. Nurturing space, intuitive, more caring, warm, more perceptive. More perceptive. I'll tell you a little bit of a story today about being perceptive and how you can be more feminine. So we have a remote worker. So there's a gentleman on our team who, he doesn't work from the office with us. He works like from home somewhere. And we're emailing him and we're noticing that he's not getting back to us, but that's very odd because he's usually very responsive. And then, 4 days go by and we're like, have you heard from so and so? Have you heard from so and so? And everyone's like, no, we haven't heard from so and so. Have you called him? Have you called him? No. So I was like, okay, I haven't heard from, so and so. And another gentleman was like, well, I'll call him. And I was like, can you just, we have a good relationship. So I was like, just be nice when you call him, please, because we don't know what's going on. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'll make sure to do that. And then I thought, let me just text, the guy and say, is everything okay? So instead of immediately defaulting to, why the hell isn't he responding to my emails, and what does he think this is, and disrespect, and doesn't know we have this deadline, I thought, you know what, something might be going on with him. Something might be going on with his wife or him, or his, what's going on. So let me just text him and say, hey, Michael, is everything okay? I thought of you, and I noticed you haven't been responding, but I just want to make sure everything is okay. And, the guy got back to me and was like, oh my God, thank you so much for thinking of me. I'm just taking it day by day, but everything's going okay. And so in my head, I said, something's going on that he doesn't want to talk about at work. But at least I came at him from an even, feminine space, as opposed to coming at him from a hyper aggressive, like, yo, you're slowing up the ting, what's up, you're delaying our project kind of thing. You know what I mean? So that's another way that you can create this more nurturing space and be truer to yourself and create a better team dynamic and team energy with, bringing the feminine energy balance back into your work environment. So, yeah, that was a little story of that. So what else do I do when it comes to femininity? Yeah, I just talk to other people in the office. There's other teams as well. Now, I don't talk to everyone because not everyone is receptive to, what I'm bringing. But the ones that are, I'll stop and have a little chat with them, or, you know what I mean? If I see they got like cookies or candies, I'll be like, ooh, can I get a little cookie? There's a little bit of a flirtation as well. And it's not enough to get yourself in trouble or to cross any boundaries, but it's enough to be warm enough where people gravitate towards you. And in the workplace, the higher up you go, the more that gravitational pull is valuable, right? And so on the lower levels of your career, the things that are the most valuable are just your delivery. How much work you can do, how fast you can do it, how efficiently you can do it, how many people you can serve, and all of that. And that's what your value is. But as you ascend, your ability to influence, persuade and influence people, your gravitational pull, how people enjoy being around you, how people enjoy being led by you, how people enjoy being in your presence, how supported people feel by you, how people know that you will stand up for them and not throw them under the bus, how people know how confident you are in yourself, and so they feel empowered to be confident within themselves because you're confident within yourself. All of these aspects are the even place that you're trying to be, the even place between masculinity and femininity, that's really important to have in the workplace. um, so yeah, so being able to flirt with people and to genuinely have a connection, not flirt in a sexual way, but flirt in a I'm interested in you, aren't you interested in me, um, that kind of play, that kind of push pull is very important as you ascend in your career, especially when you're having to build teams and convince people to be led by you. And not only convince people to be led by you, but convince people to deliver for you without you having to be a petty tyrant in the office, which a lot of people do. They lead by fear. And in a feminine and even balanced space and in a feminine space, there's no room to lead with fear. You lead with care, and you lead with a safe team, perceptive and intuitive space. Um, so yeah, that's what I had to say about femininity in the workplace. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that you guys would want me to talk about. If you have any questions, pop in. You guys know I am focused on travel alchemy right now, Travel Alchemist Collective. So essentially, I decided that I really, really was passionate about travel and really was passionate about how transformative travel can be for your love life, your personal life, your career. And so decided to share some stories about how travel has transformed me. And so today we're talking about how travel has transformed my ability to bring femininity into the workplace, and how it has made me brave and comfortable to be able to do so, and then how it's shown me the value of it and the rewards that I reap from being able to be brave enough to be feminine in the workplace. Do you guys have any questions? Also, if you're interested in Travel Alchemist Collective and joining our group, it is a paid group. All the information is in the down box below. You can email me at itskellscollective@gmail, or you can pop on over to my blog, kmelanie.com, to read more about the Travel Alchemist Collective and see if it's something that interests you. But kind of if you have a deep desire to travel and you know in your spirit, like, dang, I really, really want to travel, but you're running into these hurdles, whether it be fear of solo travel, financial trouble, or no time off of work, or any kind of self-imposed hurdles that you're putting in your way, and you think that I can help you overcome these challenges, and you'd love to be in a group of like-minded women who want to travel and feel like the collective is one that will be supportive of that desire, then definitely hit me up and we'll talk about your particular issues and how I can help you, and whether or not the group or an individual kind of work together would be best to get you across the travel threshold. Do you guys have any questions? I'm not going to stay on too long tonight, but do you have any questions about femininity in the workplace and how travel helped awaken me to the possibility of that? I saw some questions in there, so I'm going to swipe a little bit. But if there are none, then I just wanted to pop on and talk to you guys briefly about that. Let's see what questions come up. Okay, let's see. All right, so you guys are pretty much saying it's good to see me back. Thank you guys. It's brilliant to be back. I did do a video about Travel Alchemist Collective, and I also did a video about where have I been. And so if you didn't get to see those, they're definitely already up on the channel. I don't know how often I'm going to be going live, but I'm definitely going to be coming on talking to you how transformative travel has been for me. And as I said before, tonight we're talking about femininity in the workplace and being able to bring that balance back into your career, and how beneficial it is. So let me see. I answered the question already about the clothing. So, I mean, if there's nothing else that you guys um, have to ask me about femininity, if there's anything else you want to know about how travel has been able to transform me, or what kind of epiphanies or stuff like that that I have received from traveling, around the world, definitely leave it in the comments below after this live. But for now, I think we're pretty good to go. So anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. Have a good night.